Hello guys, I am Geek Boy, and today Caiden Cowgers made a video titled, Say No to Homo. I decided I want to respond, but since I don't want to get a copyright claim, I've written down some of the points he has made, and I will be responding to them like that. If you would like to go watch this video, I will not be linking it. Go over to the Caiden Cowgers program and go watch it, because Caiden is very flag happy, and I do not want to get a copyright claim. So let's start this. At a minute 38 to about a minute 44, he says that the LGBT movement did not get the people to agree with them and instead just went to the Supreme Court. Now, this is a point he brings up. This point is connected to a bigger point that he says much later in the video, but we're not getting to that point until later in this video. So, whatever. It makes sense to go after Proposition 8 because, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the most publicized anti-gay marriage law on the books. It makes sense to go after it, much like it makes sense to go after Brown versus Board of Education, because if this law gets overturned, it will send a shockwave that might result in other states overturning their anti-gay marriage laws. Essentially, they want a shockwave effect, which is much like what they did with Brown versus Board of Education. However, and this also ties into something else he says, at 239 to about 246, what they're comparing to their movement to, the Black Civil Rights Movement. There's some clear parallels here between the two movements. And I believe if Martin Luther King Jr., and I guess to a lesser extent Rosa Parks, were still alive today, they probably would be supporting this because there are some clear parallels between the two movements. Both of them are being denied a basic civil right. And I'm comparing this once again to Brown versus Board of Education because that was the big civil right case. And I'm assuming that's what you're meaning in select points in this video. So, both of these laws are unjust. One of them is a separate but equal law, and the other one being the anti-gay marriage law. Both of them are violating a constitutional right, the right to marriage and the right to equality for all. The difference is, LGBT people are also being discriminated, much like black people were. They were also being denied marriage. Pre the Civil Rights Movement, it would have been frowned upon for a white woman to date a black man, or a black woman to date a white man. They would have had their houses bombed. They would have gotten death threats. Their lives they could have actually gotten lynched. Their lives would have been miserable, much like LGBT people. They can't go out in the open and say, yes, I love X, I love this man, I love this woman, without being frowned upon, without being attacked, without being, discriminated against. Both of them are being discriminated against. So, another thing he said at 348 to about 349, and then again at 449 to about 452, he says they're trying to get everybody who disagrees with them to be called a bigot. And then he also says trying to get people who are bigots to be equivalent to racists. That would be a side effect to this law being overturned. Besides, bigotry and racism are both signs of a dying breed. Racism were people who couldn't see that the black people were equal to whites. Racism is pretty much about dead in this country. I mean, yes, there's the South, and yeah, whatever. LGBT people, bigots, are dying out slowly because LGBT people, they're realizing LGBT people deserve to be married. They deserve to have the same rights as straight couples. Both of them are relics of an older age, of an older generation, of whatever. And you can't compare them, but at the same time, I don't believe their main attack is to get people who disagree with them to be called bigots, because I believe they can see that would be pretty much impossible. It is impossible to change people's minds. To make people suddenly overnight become, yeah, I support this. This is going to take time and effort. This is just the first step on a long road to getting equal rights. And then at 5:07, this is my favorite, 5:11, are you ready for homosexuals to be in your church? Yes. If churches can start to accept the gays and LGBT people, I'm sorry, I don't want to just single out, gay people, because I know that's a broad term. If churches can start to accept them, the point of a church is for a religious experience, more or less. If churches will start to accept LGBT people, that would be another step in the eventual realizing that they are equal. And churches will marry homosexual couples. that would be another step towards their, I guess in your eyes, a takeover of the American values, but in my eyes, a deeper understanding that they are equal. Now, this one I'm going to read and I'm going to say 521 to 526. People who disagree with them to be more tolerable. And I would like you, however, to watch the video at this point, because I don't think I did this justice. He is under the whatever impression that LGBT people are like children. They're intolerant children who basically, in his mind, the civil rights thing, this LGBT thing and all those protesters on Washington and all that is like a child whining for a cookie that their mom takes away. And I find this just absolutely freaking hilarious because, Caiden Cowgers on the radio ranting and raving about the homosexuals, and yet he calls them immature. But whatever. What I'm saying, however, is, he also mentions Chick-fil-A, but we're not going to get into the Chick-fil-A thing because that was over a really long time ago. And he bastardized it by saying basically they said they believed in it. I'm kind of on two sides on that one, but this is not a video about Chick-fil-A. This is a video about Caiden Cowger. Let's focus here. Basically, people who disagree with them do need to be more tolerant. They're dying breed of bigots, a dying breed of racists. I don't think they truly think, tying this back to what I said earlier, I don't think they truly believe they can change the hearts and minds of America overnight in a snap. However, much like racists in the 60s with, the civil rights movement, and racists are bigots now, the thing is, both of them are a dying generation that still hold these beliefs and have passed these beliefs on to my children, much like you, Caiden Cowger, that need to realize that this is dying slowly, that their beliefs are wrong and need to be changed. Now, I'm not saying, that you're an idiot because you don't like homosexuals or gays or whatever. What I'm saying is, at some point, you're going to have to deal with these. You're going to have to realize that you were wrong and that gay people are equal. I mean, whatever. I'm not going to go too far in this. And also, I'd like to point something else out. I'm going to have a picture of this in the video. On Caiden's Facebook page, on his fan Facebook page, it shows a picture of Martin Luther King, and it says, I march for civil rights, not gay rights. And this kind of ties out to something else I said earlier, that I believe if Martin Luther King Jr. were alive, and I guess also Rosa Parks, and all the civil rights people, they would be behind this, because they see the parallels, much like the rest of us do, Caiden, of the fact that both of them were working for equal rights. I mean, I'm not saying, that they're going to be, 100% behind this, and I believe that Martin Luther King Jr. and them would be supporting their rights. They would be behind this. They would not be standing on their butts saying, oh, no, I'm not behind this. I don't believe in this. I believe that they would be behind this. I don't believe that they would be standing outside or standing there saying, "Oh no, I don't agree with this. This is idiotic." And actually also he also mentioned several times the Supreme Court justices being called bigots if they don't agree with them or don't vote that way. That is completely idiotic. I mean, they're going to vote how they think. This is not. They know the risks when they became Supreme Court justice. Every law that comes to them, there's going to be a negative and a positive. If they don't agree with this law, they're going to be called gun supporters. They don't believe in gun support. They're going to be called, I don't know. I do believe they're going to make the right decision because they know what's at stake here. And also he mentions, and this kind of ties back into something, the polygamy argument, that homosexuals are apparently compared to polygamists, which I don't know why he's against those, because I believe polygamists agree in straight marriage, and they're marrying multiple people, which are women, so I don't know why Caiden Cowger has a problem with it, but apparently his Christianity beliefs do, so whatever. I don't know that much about this. I'm not going to, go and say, polygamy is evil or whatever, but I would believe Caiden Cowger would be behind this, because I believe they marry straight people. So, at the end of the day, I think Caiden Cowger's video was very misguided. It made him sound like more of an idiot about homosexual rights. I mean, I know he's Christian, I know whatever, but at the end of the day, the fabric of America and the fabric of what marriage can and can't be is changing. And he's just riding that wave, much like a racist was back in the day. I'm not calling him racist, I'm just making a comparison. Much like racists were back in the 60s and the 70s. He wants to stay on this dying wave of thought that needs just to be destroyed. People need to realize that, yeah, it's okay for gays to get married. It's okay for gays to have the same rights as straight couples. Saying that, they're not equal it's just not right. That's like, much like what they said back in the 60s about black people. That they're not right. That marrying a black man or a black woman, if you're white, is wrong. And that is not right. So, that's actually all I have to say. So, thank you for who watched this video. It's going to be kind of long, I guess. So, bye.